Whilst the Bible contains a varied mix of interesting characters, none are so interesting to me as King Solomon. Whilst we see him for his enhanced wisdom and his building of temples, there is much about Solomon that we don't get from the Bible. Perhaps one of the greatest accounts of him come from the pseudepigraphical text known as the Testament of Solomon, a tale which sees him come face to face with several iconic and wicked demons. Thought to be written in the 1st century in Greek, and later completed sometime in the Middle Ages, the text explores some of the most unique ideas when it comes to demons, and is unapologetically vivid in its depiction of these demons and their behaviour. The story also gives us one of the most in-depth looks of how Solomon's temple was created, as well as how he was able to manipulate demons into participating in its construction. Whilst the text contains themes from both Christianity and Judaism, it is difficult to place the exact authorship. Again, particularly because the text was completed over a number of centuries. It is possible that the authors were a mix of Christians and Jews, which is what makes the text so diverse and compelling. Given the original text having been written in Greek, it's possible that early influences from Greek mythology also contributed to the completion of the text. Some of the Christian themes include a part where Solomon comes face to face with the demon Ephipas, who tells him that the only way he will be defeated is when a man who is born a virgin comes to life, perhaps foreshadowing the birth of Christ. Meanwhile, the Jewish influences appear in the demon Asmodeus, who is enslaved by Solomon in this text. We first see Asmodeus introduced in the Jewish Talmud, where it is he who gets the upper hand over Solomon. Meanwhile, the Greek influences are plenty throughout the text, including the use of Mount Olympus, an area in which 7 sister demons identify as their home. There is also the demon Obizuth, who some believe represents the Gorgon Medusa from Greek mythology. Another reference to Greek mythology comes from the demon Enepsigos, who tells Solomon that he can take the form of the Greek titan Cronus. The majority of the text features Solomon interviewing each demon, learning of their powers and their roles, as well as gaining more knowledge of the universe that he wasn't told before. The story opens up with an introduction of King Solomon, telling us that he is the son of David, the king of all Jerusalem, and that he has mastered the ability to control all the spirits of the air, the earth, and under the earth. We are told that the temple city of Jerusalem is currently being built, and that Solomon's men were hard at work with its construction. However, amongst them lurked a demon known as Ornias, and every day at sunset he would haunt a young boy, stealing half of his pay and half of his food. He would also suck the boy's right thumb, and we are not told whether he did this through possession or if he was literally just there sucking the boy's thumb. Either way, it's pretty weird. As a result of having his pay and food reduced, the boy began to grow thin, though it is not something that went unnoticed by King Solomon, likely because the boy happened to be a favourite of his. So Solomon summoned the boy one day and questioned him, asking, "Do I not love thee more than the artisans who are working in the temple of God? Do I not give thee double wages and double supply of food? How is it that day by day and hour by hour thou growest thinner?" You might argue that Ornias the demon actually had some decency. Notice that he only takes from Solomon's favourite, a boy who earned double the wages and double the food for his work. The text tells us that Ornias only takes half of what the boy earned, which meant he still left the boy with enough to survive on, perhaps more than he needed in fact. But seeing as the boy grew thin, it's possible that Ornias was taking more than he ought to have, or that the boy had some insane appetite and physiology that required more calories. In any case, it drives home the point that stealing in any capacity is wrong, and that to harbour or entertain demons is not something that one should tolerate, regardless of if they are able to or not. The boy responds to Solomon, telling him that after he is released from work and goes home to lay down, one evil demon comes and takes away one half of his pay and one half of his food. He then reveals to Solomon that this demon sucks his thumb, and that as a result of this, his soul is oppressed and his body grows thinner every day. Here, it's possible that this thumb-sucking business is actually some sort of curse, perhaps a way in which the demon Ornias drains the life force of the boy, It could be that this causes him to grow thinner and weaker, given that he still leaves the boy with a regular serving of food and pay. Solomon then tells us, as the perspective switches to him, that he entered the temple of God that day and prayed all night and all day that the demon that had plagued the boy would be delivered into his hands, and that he might gain control over this demon. Solomon then gets a visit from the Archangel Michael, who brings him a ring that has an engraved stone. The Archangel is quoted as saying, "Take, O Solomon, King, son of David, the gift which the Lord has sent thee, the highest Sabbath. With it thou shalt lock up demons of the earth, male and female, and with their help thou shalt build up Jerusalem." Here we are given something of an origin story as to how Solomon is able to manipulate and control demons, something he is known for having done across many other apocryphal texts. Upon receiving the ring from Archangel Michael, Solomon is overjoyed and proceeds to praise God for his intervention. The next morning, Solomon gives the boy the ring and tells him to wait for the demon to appear to him again, and when he does, to throw the ring at the demon's chest and tell him that King Solomon summons him. So the child took the ring and went off about his duties, but upon the evening, he was again visited by the demon Ornias, and we are told here that the fierce demon came like a burning fire to take the food and the pay from the boy as he usually did. But the boy recalled Solomon's instructions, and this time he threw the ring at the chest of the demon, saying, "King Solomon calls thee hither." Ornias cried out in rage, saying, "Child, why hast thou done this to me? Take the ring off me, and I will render to thee the gold of the earth. Only take this off me, and forbear to lead me away to Solomon." But the child resisted the demon's temptation, and held firm to Solomon's instructions. He fled from Ornias, and ran to King Solomon to let him know that he had bound the demon outside. And when King Solomon heard this, he rose from his throne immediately, and found the demon where the boy had bound him, and said, "Who art thou?" And the demon replied, "I am called Ornias." This might seem like a simple interaction between man and demon, but in actuality it has a bit of a deeper meaning. By knowing the demon's name, Solomon assumes complete control over the entity. You might link this to Catholic exorcisms, where the exorcist asks for the demon's name, for this belief stems back through generations, where it's understood that by knowing a creature's name, it ensures complete control over the creature. The basis of this belief is not entirely known, but many point to the fact that God gives Adam the honour of naming every animal, and in this, man assumed control and dominion over them. Solomon then asks Ornias to reveal his zodiac sign, to which Ornias reveals that he belongs to the water pourer, more commonly known as Aquarius. He also reveals that he is subject to those who are consumed with the desire for the noble virgins upon the earth, and that these are the ones he strangles. Unfortunately, there is a gap in the text here, and we are not sure if Ornias is referring to the strangulation of noble virgins or the strangulation of those who desire them. It is also unclear why this is his motive, but one idea from an astrological standpoint is that Ornias strangles Aquarius men because of their passion and lust for Virgo women. He also continues that, "Whenever men come to be enamored of women, I metamorphose myself into a comely female, and I take hold of the men in their sleep and play with them." Here we learn that Ornias takes the form of women, perhaps Virgo women in particular, in order to seduce men, often in their sleep. This might be reminiscent to some of the nocturnal demon known as a succubus, but where the succubus's role is to extract the semen of her male victim, Ornias doesn't seem to share the same mission. In fact, Ornias declares he plays with these men, and in this, it's possible he's gaining some sort of sexual gratification from these encounters. Another idea is that by getting these men off, he is eliciting them into sin and fornication, luring them off the righteous path and denying them from God's glory. Ornias also reveals to us that he can take the form of a lion, and this has also been interpreted as him having the head of a lion. Another interesting note from this passage is that after he has finished seducing men, he takes to his wings and flies to the heavenly regions. Here it is implied that Ornias has some sort of backdoor entrance into heaven, or at least that he has some placehold in the heavenly regions. This is not further elaborated on until a sentence later, where Ornias declares he is an offspring of the Archangel Uriel. Here is where the text begins to take on its own rules, by implying that Archangel Uriel fathered a child, a demon child no less. Unfortunately, this very vague description is not elaborated on either, and we are left to guess as to who or what Ornias' mother was, and how on earth an archangel conceived a child. We've seen angels in the form of the Watchers conceive children with the mortal women in the Book of Enoch, and these children grow to become the terrifying Nephilim, giant monsters that nearly destroyed the world. But archangels conceiving children is another thing altogether, something which many believe is not possible, given that the archangels do not share the same carnal notions as us, nor the desire or need to reproduce. It could be of course that Ornias is lying, although it's understood the ring which he is bound by compels the demon to tell the truth. In any case, Solomon prays and glorifies God in the wake of the demon's words, and we are told that he binds the demon and sets him to work at stone cutting, so that he might cut the stones for the building of his temple. But Ornias appears to be afraid of hard labour and begs Solomon to let him go, before proceeding to bargain with him, saying, "I pray thee, King Solomon, let me go free, and I will bring you all the demons." Solomon understands that Ornias will not do as he is told, but that under his command he cannot leave either. This puts the two sides at a bit of a stalemate. So Solomon proceeds to pray to the Archangel Uriel to come and give guidance, to which the Archangel responds and does not appear in this passage to recognize Ornias, nor is the revelation from Ornias that he is the offspring of the Archangel even acknowledged. We are told of the emergence of Archangel Uriel that, "And the angel bade the whales of the sea come out of the abyss, and he cast his destiny upon the ground, and that destiny made subject to him the great demon. And he commanded the great demon and bold Ornias to cut stones at the temple." From this we are told a few things. We are told that whilst there was resistance from Ornias in obeying Solomon, Archangel Uriel saw to it that Solomon's will was done, as he commanded Ornias to cut the stones at the temple. It gives us the idea that the archangels are superior in every way to the demons, and that they behold a power over them that cannot be denied. It shows us the difference between man and archangels, for where Ornias resisted Solomon, he could not resist Uriel. The idea that good triumphs over evil rings out here, and the notion that God is all-powerful, given that the archangels are something of an extension of himself, is the biggest takeaway from this section. We also learn that Uriel cast the destiny of Ornias upon the ground, implying that Ornias and his kind belong in the dirt, or that they will forever be bound to the earth, or beneath the earth. This could be in retaliation to Ornias' earlier comment that he flies above to the heavenly regions, and that through this confession he is discovered, and Archangel Uriel sees him bound to the earth, never to return. It could also be that Archangel Uriel takes away Ornias' wings, physically binding him to the ground. The final part of this section sees Solomon glorify God for his triumph over Ornias, and we are led to believe that Ornias did indeed end up cutting the stones for the building of the temple. But for how long the demon did this is not clear, for he is immediately told thereafter in this passage by Archangel Uriel, "Away with thee, and bring me hither the prince of all demons." This sees a chain reaction of demons fetching other demons, all of which present to Solomon in a manner of strange, grotesque, and fascinating ways. As mentioned in the beginning of this video, we see a lot of influence from Greek mythology, and are treated to a range of demons not discussed in the Bible or any other associated texts. In the next video, we'll see Ornias obey the commands of Archangel Uriel as he brings to Solomon the prince of all demons, the demon known as Beelzebub. Let me know if you've enjoyed today's video, and be sure to tune in next time for part 2, where Solomon confronts the Lord of the Flies himself, Beelzebub. The entirety of the Testament of Solomon will take a few videos to get through, as I aim to split it into several parts, so as to best convey each confrontation that Solomon has. So do let me know if this is something you're interested in, and as always, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. Until the next time, guys.